Hi everyone, let's have a think today about something that's really important to Christians, but a really big mystery. Today we're going to think about the Trinity. So, Christians believe that there is one God, but we also talk about God being Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and how each of those are equally important and equally powerful. So, does that mean we actually believe there are three gods? Well, no, it doesn't work like that at all. In fact, Trinity means three in one. Now, this is a mystery, as I said before. It can take a little while to even understand this just a tiny little bit. It's a really confusing thing. It's hard to get our heads around. So, let's take a look at some picture language that might help us out. So first of all, we're going to think about water. So water can come in water drops like rain, water from our taps. We can have water in oceans and rivers. It's a liquid, right? But also, we know water can be a solid. It can be an iceberg or an ice cube that's gently melting on the side, forgotten about. But water can also be a gas. We see it in vapour in the clouds or in the steam that's coming off a nice hot cup of tea or your lovely bubble bath. So water can be 1, 2, 3, but it's all still water, even though it takes different forms. Okay, well, let's have a think about something else that might help us out. Let's think about a tree. A tree has roots that grow and spread deep, far underneath the ground. But it also has a trunk and many branches. Now, real trees have more branches than this, but I'm just drawing a quick tree so that you can get the idea. And if you think that doesn't look very much like a tree, Anne-Marie, then I'm sorry, you'll just have to use your imaginations for this bit. But it also has, apart from the roots and the trunk and the branches, lots and lots of leaves of different kinds, depending on the different kinds of tree. I don't know what kind of tree this here is. Maybe it's an oak tree. I don't know. Maybe it's a made-up kind of tree that you can name for yourself. Now, the leaves don't look very much like the roots, and the roots are quite different from the branches. But even though they're all different, they still make up one tree. Now, let's have a think about something a little bit closer to home, shall we? Let's think about a person. A person can be somebody's daughter. But they could also be somebody's wife. Let's give this guy some hair as well. Now, alongside being somebody's daughter and someone's wife, someone could also be somebody's big sister. Let's give her some hair too. So even though these different relationships look quite different, there's still just one person being three things all at once. So how does that work with God? How is God three things all at once? Here's a diagram that people use to try and explain what that looks like. So we're going to put God in the middle here because we believe there is one God. Let's start thinking about God the Father. He is, the Bible teaches us, a creator. The creator of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and everything we see around us. We can't see God the Father, but we can see his hand in everything that he has made. And we know that God the Father is completely God. But as we said right at the beginning, we don't just believe in God the Father, but God the Son as well. And that's Jesus. So we'll put a cross there to remind us of what Jesus did. It's a good symbol to remember him. Now, the Bible tells us that Jesus was fully God as well. But we know that he's different from God the Father. He's not exactly the same. You see, people could see and touch Jesus. Jesus was God in human form. He was completely God, but completely person as well. He had to eat, sleep, and drink. And Jesus said that anyone who knew him knew God. But we're missing one out so far, aren't we? Don't worry, we haven't forgotten God, the Holy Spirit. Now, God the Holy Spirit is often pictured like a dove, so that's what I'm going to try and draw here. And again, if you think that doesn't look very much like a dove, which to be honest, it doesn't, does it? But let's just use our imaginations. The Holy Spirit is often pictured like a dove or a flame on top of people's heads. It represents God's power living with us. The Holy Spirit is like a guide or a teacher that helps us to live God's ways. Now, the Holy Spirit has all of God's power, is completely God, but isn't the same form as Jesus or the same form as God the Creator. So God can be 1, 2, and 3, but still one God. Now, if by now you're feeling even more confused, that's okay. Or maybe you're beginning to just get a little idea of how big this mystery is. That's still fine. This is something that is meant to make us think. It's meant to make us think about God, about how we talk to God, about how God talks to us. It's a mystery, so if you really don't understand, don't worry. Not very many people really do. And that's okay. Some things just can't be answered. That's the wonderful thing about big questions. We might learn a little bit more, but every one of us is still learning. But that's roughly how the Trinity works. One God in 3, or rather 3 in 1.